blue side for BNK should favor them, as the Nidalee respect for Owner coming out immediately.
Yeah, it's also hard to tell whether those were genuinely happy or we're about to get
We're in
stopped.
danger.
Yeah, exactly. The we're in danger smile. The Sejuani, I think, is a really, really great call. Nidalee, I understand from a level of oppression perspective. I also think Raptor has, as mentioned, struggled, and playing into a jungler like Owner is not going to be a good time. We really saw yesterday as well how insanely hard it can be to try and play jungle when your lanes are not doing well. In the Kwangdong series, where Cuz was just like kind of there. The Kalista, interesting that it is still this high on the ban list. A lot of other teams have dropped it.
Yeah.
And I think this is about trying to get Hannah and Doro a matchup that is at least remotely playable. If I'm going to get taken away. So Tristana Corki, which often is on the ban list, taken... not taken off the board this time around. The Ashe still going to be the priority. Can obviously go both ways, but most likely that's going to go towards Hannah. I think Duro isn't really an Ashe type of guy, and we'll see. I also, obviously, taking away Ashe, I think is great. And so the 1-2 is great. I do think that Faker's Tristana has definitely been...
Plants!
It's been volatile. I don't think he's really been able to match the consistent level of play that we're very used to seeing with Faker, but the combo, it's self-explanatory, all right? It's going to be double A carry, probably pick up Ezreal here, even though you might struggle on lane. I feel like that 1-2-3 is still going to feel amazing.
Yeah, you can see Gumayusi actually having a little bit of a consider here. Not looking too vocal, though. See whether it is going to be something else. Never mind. He's going to telepathically tell the rest of his teammates that it's Ezreal that he wants to play. And they're going to lock that one in. This is looking pretty cookie cutter on the side of T1. Probably wanting to collect themselves a little bit of engage. Unless they don't want engage, because engaging onto a Zyra is a really rough time. We'll see what they can actually do to make sure that they have some way of taking control of areas in this one.
I'm not going to assume this is the case, but there is even the possibility that this is Ashe Zyra bottom lane. I just want to throw it out there.
I mean, it is Ashe Zyra. This is a famous one.
Like that would be cool. I don't think that's what's going to be the case here. Obviously, the most likely outcome is that it's just going to be Raptor on the Zyra. I want to have it mentioned.
Yeah,
it is a historical throwback, and I think Zyra actually in support.
I mean, theoretically, it can also be mid lane because you could play Corki Ashe.
Okay, well now I think we are straying too far away from.
I mean, I think Zyra mid's the best way to play her personally. It's too fiddly. Too fiddly getting around the jungle and making sure your plants do everything for you and stuff.
Atlas, you have like a 305 clear, and it's you don't even have to get your plants right.
But it's fiddly.
Okay, well, Raptor most likely going to go for that one. This is a very clear Leona signaling. I imagine the Leona are going to get banned away here on the side of BNK. And the one big upside for T1 is that if you go for Leona here, there obviously is some punish potential, but the Braum is already taken away, which is one of the big ones.
Yep,
and you also get counterpick for top. So Zeus will then be able to just counterpick into whatever clear has been played. Zeus has definitely been volatile in both his playstyle and his champion pool. It's going to be the Karma instead. So they're fine with the Leona being picked up here.
I think that's
what they have in mind.
Isn't it super weird, though, just because they were going to have 0 engage, and if it was Karma as well, then T1 are never going to be able to do anything.
Yeah, but the lane pressure would be, I think, incomparable.
That's true. And
the main thing with the weaknesses of not having engage, I don't think apply to T1, because they're maniacs. So like they're gonna play super aggro in lane. They're gonna get first 2 objectives. So I understand it from that perspective. I do think Ezreal Leona is still insanely good. So I don't think T1's gonna be too bothered by the fact that the pressure lane is not available to them. This is a clean way to kind of end the draft. The Jax is not as exciting.
I mean, it's exciting, but it's dangerous.
Yeah, I think the Aatrox is a safer bet. Even though it's not going to really make you excited, there isn't really too much synergy towards the top side. Normally we love to see something like the Sejuani, even though Sejuani Aatrox hasn't necessarily been standout due to the fact that Aatrox not really autoing as much as something like a Jax would. This is no front line. Well, you have Leona, I guess.
I mean, this is the classic.
That's the throwback. But Jace is already strong. And Jace is going to get buffed next patch as well. So I honestly, try and get as many Jace games in as you can. And Zeus is also gonna have his skin released sometime soon, so I gotta crank up that Jace value.
Got to make sure that you, it's like the preview. Got to get it in there. This also does mean that any sort of engage that they were lacking wouldn't have mattered. They have Leona anyway, but they're going to outrange BNK anyway. So playing in the neutral with this composition just sounds miserable for BNK.
It does.
How does Zyra ever get in there to do plant stuff?
Yeah, you don't. You already got to just poke. A lot in this game is going to ride on how well Duro can do. Because he can find engages as Alistar.
Yeah.
I think Alistar does somewhat struggle when you don't have map control and you try to set up engages because his engage is pretty telegraphed, right? Like you can flash and pulverize, but it is always something that I think particularly teams like T1 are very experienced with playing into compared to something like Durel, the Nautilus, which are a little bit more sure, or Leona, which is non-committal. I just think that this is so T1. Like, T1 love playing these fiddly poke-style compositions. I think in isolation, the BNK comp looks good. Good spread of damage. You got engage, you got frontline, got strong lanes. In practice, though, I think T1 are very happy. There is some volatility here, particularly towards that mid lane. But as long as T1 can manage that, I think they're looking good here.
These Tristana Ivern compositions just seem so incredibly difficult to deal with. It's Zeus on his Jace as well. An uphill battle, potentially, for BNK. Let's see what they can do as we hop onto the Rift for game number 1. All right, here we are onto the Rift for game 1. T1 fans out in force here today. There is not too many empty seats that I can see, and in fact, none. The people that were going to be in those seats are actually on their way. So I spotted like a couple that were empty, but no, not for long. All right, let's see how the start is going to go, because I think this is going to be very, very important, as Raptor is also going for the Conqueror this time around on Zyra as well. I haven't seen that one personally before.
No, really, I think we saw it maybe once before. Not 100% sure. It definitely is something that we don't see very often. I think it was Brand, actually, that ended up going for Conqueror.
Okay.
I think that the Conqueror on Brand makes a little bit more sense, because in for Brand, often your job is, you go in, you press your buttons, and then if you end up dying, that's honestly fine. I think Zyra wants to play it a little bit safer, so I really like the comm attack.
I mean, isn't that normally the Zyra thing as well? It's like as long as you've pressed Stranglethorns with some plants down, you're pretty happy?
I think Brand, his ticks make it feel a little bit more impressive. I think Zyra at least wants to do some pre-fight poking, with plants. We've seen that happen. Not in this comp, because you're going to get severely outranged, and it's going to be really hard to actually execute on that. Also, Clear going for Fleet. We've seen Fleet be so insanely popular. Yeah, just in general, like, look at the rune setups, right? Absorb Life, insanely strong right now. A lot of similarities. It's going to help a lot. Same for Zeus with dodging the skill shots that Jace is going to throw at you, as Clear, as I say that, walks right into the Shock Blast. So I can use the sustain, so that's something.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, it is Aatrox. He should be getting a little bit bullied in this matchup. We'll see whether he's going to be able to find some angles. Of course, it's generally pretty Jace favored. And honestly, top lanes here in the LCK just kind of are, just because the players that we have that are going to bring out the Jace, namely Keen and Zeus, will just not let you really play the game if they're in a matchup that they're happy with. And this was a last pick Jace. And that's just it's how the cookie crumbles, unfortunately, as Owner is going to be making friends with the jungle here. Always like that 1-2 punch. I believe it was Canyon that showed us that one first off a little while ago, as Kerry is going to go in. That's an immediate cleanse out of Henna. Already you can see Raptor in the area, but not going to be able to help out too much over here, and especially not with that ward already in the trap.
Yeah, Duro headbutted the minion there, so that was actually a great setup, because Raptor was also in the area. But it didn't work because, well, I think he denied the cannon, so, that's
there you go.
That alone is not enough, as we do have some aggression being shown here.
Yep,
a lot of people roaming over.
Exactly right. It is going to be Gumayusi on the earlier roam, though, as now Faker in a little bit of trouble. Closer going aggressive. The former T1 mid laner actually putting a lot of pressure on here in this mid lane. Faker just going to be able to eat some potions, though, and We'll just try and clear out this wave, as now Henna could be in trouble. Oh, the Zenith Blade just barely missing. And that is so much pressure already here from T1 in these lanes.
He doesn't have cleanse. So he would have actually just straight up died if Carrier clipped him there. Not going to be the case. Henna just going boots back to lane as soon as possible. Is a cannon wave, so his loss will not be as bad as it could have otherwise been. But this is due to Duro not finding the angle there. At the very least, I don't know if Carrier would have actually died, but you would have gotten, you know, a much more favorable trade. Carrier's pressure would have been reduced, and that alone might have been enough to kind of make it worth it. As
Faker going aggressive. Let's get the trigger seed, but he'll be fine. Let's wander his way out. I feel like there's a lot of matchups in mid lane at the moment that just involve going down to about 200 health and sitting there for the entire laning phase, and it's kind of nerve-wracking.
It's because they've played this matchup so many times.
And it's happening with like the Azir Corki matchup as well now, whereas that used to be just sit at full health and trade waves over and over again, and now it's just fighting at all times. It seems to be the case here with this particular lane anyway. Closer and Faker making sure that they are testing each other as often as they can.
We'll see if this matchup continues to be as prevalent when we get to next week.
Yeah.
Patch changes actually seem very substantial, at least in solo queue. We'll have to see if that's the same in pro, but the Tristana nerfs seem to be effective, which I'm very happy about. I also do have some bad news for you, though, and it might be a precursor to what we'll see in next series. Chovy's just now playing anything AD mid. I think I saw anything from like Draven to Zeri to...
That would make sense.
Yeah.
I feel like we're finally coming full circle, though, because as soon as you can just play Caitlyn and Ashe mid, then we're back to Season 1. We've just finally done it.
And then, what's next? They're going to revamp Sion, bring back all AP Sion?
Yeah, and then like the year after that, we're going to be playing Zed again, you know? Like Nidalee's going to be a mid laner. It's going to be the greatest. We just do the full rotation.
Mid Kha'Zix?
Heck yeah! And maybe you can walk around while you're evolving so that no one has to suffer like Ambition does every day.
A great moment, as we do see Raptor trying to take this. Might be a little bit of a smite fight here, but look at that. Advantage on the roam.
Yeah, Grasping Roots going down there. Good smite there from Raptor as well.
Oh, he's 6 now.
Yeah.
That's actually quite nice, but look at that top lane Zeus.
This is the problem. Man advantage certainly going to be there for T1 as Zeus does come down. That is a lot of damage from Raptor here, and now the headbutt pole, but great buffer from Faker. Still, BNK, they take control of these grubs, and they'll have them.
That's a with BNK looking kind of clean with it. Little bit surprised here, Atlas. Actually,
very impressed with Raptor.
Yeah, actually, really nicely played Herald Contester. I think one of the big things was that Zeus did have great prio, but he also was already chunked a little bit, and he was relatively low on mana. So he just, once he walked into the Zyra route, and Raptor got some more damage down, wasn't a whole lot they could do. And I think if Carrier's already there, you know, he can flash Snap Engage on top of the Zyra, which is obviously your biggest weakness. But if it's just Zeus and Owner there, it's actually really hard for them to lock down Raptor, especially without Daisy. So, well identified there by BNK.
Yeah.
They're also matching the roam to make sure that Carrier doesn't find a big angle. And that by itself, not going to be enough to really change our opinion of how we expect this one to play out. But nicely done by BNK nonetheless.
I also do think that if BNK can keep up this level of tempo and this sort of control, then it is going to bode so much better than what we were expecting, right? Because a lot of what we were thinking about for this composition was they're going to be on the back foot severely. And that's so far not necessarily the case, as they're only down by about 300 gold, and that is basically just Zeus owning the top lane. And that's like him doing what it says on the tin. And there's also a big wave for Clear to catch here. So even then, not the worst news, although he does need to actually get some of this CS, finally is going to be able to collect a few of them. And there he goes. So he's still behind relatively considerably. But it's like the Aatrox in Zeus'
just
like,
you know
situation.
When Atlas is pulling out the relatively that things are not
there are a few
off.
a few things there. As Henna's gonna have to use the other summoner spell, actually gonna answer it with an arrow, and they did throw out a lot of buttons towards the Ashe here, but Duro was sort of nowhere in sight, so it's just more Henna with a very angry arrow.
Henna actually standing his ground there. Also, very obviously faking that he had reinforcements on the way, because if they knew that was an actual 1v2, he might have been in some trouble.
I mean, there are a few cooldowns down, and it was only level 5 for Carrier, so maybe that's just...
yeah.
He saw an angle there as the first Drake is going to be taken. We've got Chemtech into Cloud, probably an Ocean Soul, I would assume, based on the amount of rain today. As now Closer's just flying his way up. Daisy's out here as well. He's in melee range with a Jace, and that is dangerous. And also, the Angry Cupcake making her way over. So Faker with some spare time on this turret. Raptor going to come on over and try and answer. As I was talking about mid lane Zara, there we go. We nailed it. Not going to find the grasping roots.
It's actually
looks exactly like my gameplay.
That's not how it should look. You know that, right?
Yeah, no, I do. But the best thing about Zara is if you miss, the plants still probably hit.
I see you take the Heimerdinger approach to,
yeah.
to CSC. It's like, it's fine. Turrets will get most of them.
Although Heimerdinger does have that grenade ability. I don't know what happens if you hit a champion with it, because I've never done it. But that one's a weird one.
I don't think anyone has, Atlas. We're not meant to know these things. This does mean that T1 actually gets a pretty nice lead. Faker does have the buffer.
Yeah, is he actually going to be able to find it, though? The Buster shot's beautiful there. I don't think Faker could have played that. Like, that was how he gets out of the gank, and he saw it. He saw it, found the window, gets out.
Really clean. Duro was very clearly looking for the interrupt mid-jump. Obviously, Tristana, it looks a little bit silly, but you can actually knock her out of the jump.
Yep.
And Duro was looking for that angle. Faker, nicely done there, absorbs the gank. Raptor was also there, which actually, I think it was a really cute setup there from BNK, because you have Duro walking out of vision, and then you have, in case Faker ends up, jumping towards the top half of the map, Raptor waiting there, but not going to work out. Still, though, the fact that there's no first blood, the fact this game still seems relatively playable, that's not enough. It's not like T1 is playing, one of those compositions where they kind of start falling off. I think this composition does really well until very late.
Oh, Arrow is going to find the tree, as Duro going to avoid the True Shot barrage actually quite nicely. Still, with once again doing this thing where Henna throws out an arrow, and there's kind of no one there.
He's just priming them for when he throws an arrow, and then there will be people.
Keeping them on their toes.
Yeah.
I do like that. His hit rate has been pretty good from what we've seen thus far.
It matters. He's playing AD carry Ashe. We've gotten so used to that. Although recently it's been a lot more of actual AD Ashe. But we've seen so many games as, hold that, Clear might have a trap here.
Yeah.
But Faker, he's like, nope, no. I'm going to walk towards that brush. Might still be an angle. At the very least, though, you can just play for grubs.
Yeah.
Clear a standing guard, should be able to catch this wave, and Zeus is actually on the back. Yeah, he's not going to walk in. Just catch the wave. You're getting your Raptors.
He's going to... Okay, he just made his way over.
That's fine.
Yep. And there we go. That should be 6 grubs going over to BNK, which is fantastic when you're against a Tristana. Denying Tristana any grubs feels phenomenal.
Yeah, the downside is that they're still down about 1.5k, and the real issue with this composition that T1 has, if they don't, snowball Tristana or Leona completely out of control, it's going to be mid-game objectives. Because we're going to get a Dragon fight, we're going to get Herald fights, and BNK do have the tools again, I think, to find individual targets, blow them up as Faker.
Yeah, Carrier going in as well, but isn't going to pull the trigger just yet. True Shot Barrage thought that perhaps the fight would go a little bit further, as we do check in on Henna, who's just going to walk towards it. Not feeling too phased at all. Testing the waters here at T1. I still feel like they haven't necessarily turned it on just yet. Still looking for that big window to try and open this game up. So far, BNK have sort of not given them those big opportunities just yet.
In general, not a lot of opportunities in this game.
Yeah, not
outside
a lot
of Zeus. There's not a whole lot happening.
Yeah. Have you spoken to Daniel Orks Harrison recently, and is he still underwater?
He's doing a lot better. I actually played some Swarm games with him before going to work.
Swarm games? What's that?
Swarm. The
Swarm games. I thought you said Swan games. I'm like, are they like duck games? Okay, here goes the arrow. Grasping Roots connects, and there's your first blood, and it goes to Duro.
Well earned, not what you want.
I'm very sad that I started off the first blood of this series with talking about Swan games that didn't even exist.
Well, there's a lot of flooding happening. I understand the fact that you'd be thinking about Swans Atlas.
Yeah, there we go.
Duro, though, nicely done. Good setup. One of the big weaknesses of the Ivan is that once you do get on top of him, which can be very tough, there is a great amount of burst that was ready to be thrown into him. Actually equalizes the gold by a good amount. I like this play from T1 though, immediately answering back in mid, pushing the lead as they often do, trying to get the most out of a rough situation towards the top side. And they do spot this a little bit. They think they have enough people, but Duro just kind of catches them off guard. Actually, nicely done. You know, not going for the flash headbutt combo, first getting the knock up, then ensuring, going in with the headbutt rather, then ensuring that they have the CC chain. And there isn't really a whole lot that T1 can do there, so nicely done.
Yep. It's pretty important to have some sort of targeted setup for the Zyra as well, because if you don't, you're just throwing out grasping roots and it's really difficult to make that land.
Maintaining
pretty good
hit rate. Again, that wasn't a CC target, but we got to celebrate small victories, Atlas.
Absolutely.
Already, it's better than I would have expected. I was really coming into this expecting it to be a T1 taking out their anger after losing to Humble Life. Might still come. I'm not...
Well, I mean, they need to start fighting for some of these neutrals, because right now, BNK have taken all of them. Zeus should be able to get some spare time with this outer turret on the bottom side of the map, so that is going to be first turret blood going over to T1. So certainly good, but the trade is actually just everything as far as the neutral objectives so far this game. The Dragon also going to be taken here, though, so T1 are going to finally get their first one. Faker just clearing out this Krug camp, and Duro well and truly behind enemy lines. Faker going to look to pick up this wave as now Closer goes in, doesn't find the big one, but Raptor's still going to be able to throw this one down. And if they manage to take this inner turret, that is a huge influx of gold for this team, as Duro, he's still going to go for it, looks to get the charge as he's a very tanky boy, and he does, of course, have the unbreakable will, so he was going to be fine. Still, they do manage to get the charge. Nicely done.
T1 will have to give up the teleport for that. Zeus did manage to get us back in, so does finish his first half of the Anamune.
This is pretty proactive, and they've got 6 grubs, remember. This should be taken down, as there's the other teleport coming on in here. Faker going to make his way over. Zeus gets on down here, but Clear will be able to secure this turret. Can they keep themselves alive, though, is the question. Is Faker looking to try and get out, but the Valkyrie's going to be there. Closer's still looking for more as, the root caller comes in. That's going to stop the aggression. But BNK, they are not taking this lying down, and in fact, they're kind of winning.
It's T1 playing with the usual confidence, and guess what? It's not warranted. You don't win that 2v2. Actually, Corki's so strong when he does get the try for a spike. Really, I think struggles early on, but when you approach that 2-item spike, insanely strong. Clear also was standing there into 280 characters with Sundered Sky and played at still cap. So he's vibing. And I understand T1 if you play that slower, because Owner was actually ahead on the rotation, would have gotten there earlier. But T1, they're really trying to cut a lot of corners here, and I think BNK are doing a really good job of punishing them. Because, look, again, like giving up this turret, that's one thing, but going in this aggressively, throwing all the burst into Clear with level 2 ultimate, it just doesn't do enough. And Owner arrives just a second late, and it just feels like, again, trying to bite off a little bit more than you could chew.
Yeah. First arrow going to miss as well, but would have been beautifully defensively placed if, it was T1 winning out on the trade. So I'm still going to call it a good one here from Henna. So we're checking out the damage to turrets. Everyone kind of doing a whole bunch of work here on the side of BNK, but otherwise it is Zeus on T1's side. Certainly been having some good times pressing the W button in his cannon form, just feeling good. As another arrow going to pierce the heavens once again, actually connects onto Zeus in the top lane. Redemption comes on down though, Owner trying to keep him alive. As now Daisy going to get grasped. Man, like, they're magnetic, these arrows.
Really nicely done by Henna. They don't get a hold of, though, unfortunately.
I mean, that's not the point. Isn't that what you said before? It's about, like, he hit them.
Okay, fair enough. Still,
all right, he needs to be a little bit careful here, maybe a lot of bit careful. As he takes most of his health bar. Okay, there's the Soul of Fleb. That's also not really going to do too much. And like you say, the grubs certainly paying dividends as they just take down the outer turret.
All right, it's a T1 classic Atlas. Please, Zeus Jace, carry us. We need you. We need you badly. He's very fed. He's about to hit his transformation in you know, it's like 80 mana, and he will be pretty close. Already has the Brutalizer as well, to what I imagine will be a Surreal does. So they're playing for his free item spike. You have the time. I do really want to reiterate, though, if T1 ends up giving up Ocean Soul, there's not a lot of things that a Pocom will hate more. You know, Mountain Soul is also pretty bad, but I feel like Ocean Soul is... When there's an Aatrox on the enemy team as well...
Yeah, Aatrox with Ocean Soul is not okay. It's very, very rude. So
they're also full AD. So Clear can even go for like a very... can go Sterix into a very heavy Bruiser build.
Another one! As the turret was also hitting him, but the turret just explodes. And Duro is now going to look for Faker. There's a headbutt. Pulverize as well. Once again, there's unfortunately not a lot of people there, but they still get the flash. Good sidestep from Clear. Avoids Carrier as well. BNK just have the answers today.
They just look good individually as well. Like,
look at this. Getting the push, the full 4 collapse into the mid lane. They'll take this in a turret as well. Out rotating. This was not on my bingo card. I didn't use bingo card.
Okay, BNK, I'm loving your game so far. I just want you to keep this up.
I'm a little bit worried as well.
No,
maybe we should just accept.
Because I've seen so many games where we're like, man, and then T1 gets like one fight at Baron, they ace you, and you lose.
Yeah, I do kind of have that the Quantum Freaks game like, in my head, you know?
I can feel it happening, and I don't want, because I feel like BNK, they've earned, well, they haven't earned the win. They got 2 kills, you know.
Yeah,
they're doing well.
They're 1,000 gold almost ahead.
It's not that big a lead.
Yeah, they're even on Drake's.
I want to believe, Atlas.
I know, me too. And they managed to take the inner turret in mid lane, and with this T1 composition, right? Like, you want to be standing your ground and defending, right? It's pretty good at counter siege, as they've got all these brushes and stuff like that. Pretty good at sieging as well with the extra range they do have. Henna's basically dead.
This is exactly what I was talking about.
Huh. But now he gets to go back
and
then
it's fine.
Throw the arrow.
Just a Drake. It's just one Ocean Drake. Not going to be the end of the world.
What about trading it for Baron? Teleport does come in here.
Yeah, with Zyra?
I mean, they have Leandris.
Yeah, you can. They gotta be sneaky about it, and I think they would have already had to pull the trigger. Now the rotation for T1 is really easy, and it's T1. I don't think you're gonna catch them off guard. Are gonna spot it now. Do know this is going on as Duro.
Oh, arrow is going to pierce on through, but now Duro could be in a whole lot of trouble. He has to flashes. He takes Carrier with him. Solar Flare doesn't do too much, but now Clear has found the back line. There goes Carrier as kill number 1. True Shot Barrage splits the middle of the fight. They have lost a lot of health bars. Headbutt Pulverize, and Gumayushi, he's too far forward. And now Clear wants even more. He's flashing in the Strangle Thorns, and there's the double kill for Closer. I mean, I didn't see it working, but then it just worked.
And it looks like Duro is making a classic challenger mistake, tries to get the catch on a Tristana.
Right.
This is still very risky. I want to reiterate, this is a very big Jace.
Oh, Clear blocking.
That's big.
The shot blast. That was beautiful. Yeah, this is just secured. BNK going from good to better.
Ooh, there was 5 health on the Baron, but it's fine. They got it.
No, because he wasn't in the pit, so it's fine. Let's check it out one more time.
So great buffer by Faker, and this looks rough, right? Duro tries to get away, but crucially the E connects. So Carrier goes all the way in, and then Clear, actually standing in the brush with the Aatrox, gets the early reset. And that alone doesn't look too bad, but then here Duro. This play onto Guma.
Oh, man.
Guma playing very far forward. Ezreal feels so safe. But guess what? If you get CC'd, even with a preemptive barrier, ends up going down. The CC is there, and what a 1-2 from BNK. Get the Red Bull Baron power play. Take a decisive lead in this game.
And this isn't, like, I know T1 have taken some liberties in this game, you could say, right? They have been playing a little bit fast and loose. But I've just been genuinely impressed by how BNK have been playing this one out.
I'm genuinely shocked. I feel like they've looked so lifeless.
Right.
This entire split.
And because the thing that's been the most sad about this squad is the conversation about the jungle, right? And the fact that, you know, you see Willer and Challenger and it's not necessarily any better, and you're wondering, is arrows going to connect once again? Henna, like, what is this? Targeted arrows? That's insane. All right, they're going to grab another inner turret. This Rebel Baron power play is starting to get completely out of control. We're moving towards a 6,000 gold lead. There's a Solar Flare. That's going to connect as Duro does tank the Shock Blast. That could have otherwise been a whole lot of damage onto Henna, and he could have almost been dead, as now Clear just umbrally dashes out of the way of the Zenith Blade, and he will be absolutely fine. This siege is working out. They're looking to try and take down the rest of this turret. They'll get it, as Daisy, he takes a lot of damage there as well and will go down.
Yeah, the problem is there's only one Zeus. Like, Zeus is a free item spike. He's insanely strong, but there's just one of him. Like, he can't be in multiple lanes at once. Faker, unfortunately, having another game in the chain of, I think, rather unfortunate Tristana games.
Yeah.
This one, not his fault, right? I'm not talking about this. Is just very nicely done here. Catches him completely. Duro also ensuring that Owner can't actually get to him to bail him out. Like, the synergy between, particularly the bot lane of BNK, is really, really shocking. Closer on this Corki also having a really, really great game. I'm vexed, Atlas, but I'm happy.
Me too. Yeah. It's just really impressive stuff.
And now all they need to avoid, again, because not a single kill has actually been found by T1, and playing a poke from behind, absolute nightmare. They need to keep it clean, well, not overextend.
Bit of a vibes arrow there from Henna, not really going to find too much. As Raptor also taking some poke himself. There's a Shock Blast. That's going to send him home.
Yeah.
Fuller is not going to quite find the mark, as Clear at least sends this minion wave into the Nether. And T1, they've weathered the storm of the Baron. They haven't lost any inhibitors just yet, but there is an open door on the top side of their base. And BNK have them on the ropes. It's only 26 minutes into the game.
I know. Dragon is going to get taken here by BNK. I don't think T1 with the lacking control, if you look at the wards towards the bot side jungle, should be looking to contest this too heavily. It's just a second Drake. Doesn't matter that much in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Most likely, by the time that you actually are going to be forced to fight for Drake, you're looking at free items at least.
Oh, there's a headbutt pole as Carrier possibly caught out, does have to flash. That is going to be an offensive tool now taken away from the Leona. Could be important.
TP as well. Look at the flank from Clear. They don't know about this Aatrox.
Well, Duro going to get in there first as there's Clear, finally discovered. Carrier does have the Eclipse available, but Clear's got a World Ender, and he has got a right to use it. He's going to be able to take down the Leona now as BNK, they just have all of the control. The arrow is going to be avoided by the Arcane Shift. Nicely done there. The opportunism, though, I love it here from Henna. And they're going to get the big old triumphant roar, and everyone's going to be absolutely fine. Closer also, look at that gusto. Just utilizing his Valkyrie to eat some cooldowns. As now T1, they don't want to give this one up. Duro going to be discovered there as Faker going to have to rocket jump his way back. In goes Closer there, finds that Trinity Force proc onto Gumayusi and just does so much damage. My goodness, this Dragon, not long for the world. T1 not going to be able to contest that one, but it's this next Baron in 1 minute's time that I'm really worried about. I think if BNK gets that, they just win this game.
I agree. That's the last stand for T1, and what are you actually going to be able to finish? I don't think we're going to get a second item for Faker. Maybe for Guma, but I think for him it's also not looking very likely. He's also just bought the Dirk, so situation, the setup here for T1 suboptimal. And I think here again, this contest for T1, you can't do that. You're too far behind to try and fight your way back, particularly with a composition like this. I think you just have to accept, take the L, and just push the side waves, you know, push top. Maybe look for a push in mid if you can generate a little bit. Get a bounty, you know, just get a mid lane turret out of it.
Yep.
Try and at least force BNK to make a mistake. Just matching straight up when you have this little control of the game is a big gambit, and it doesn't end up working out. They don't get anything else. The Drake still goes over to BNK, and the last stand for T1, I think, is coming in about 10 seconds. And we'll have to see if they can deny this. Maybe Owner can get a heroic steal. That will possibly keep them in the game. We'll have to see if they can actually make that happen. Look at the power spikes. Right?
Oh, it's huge. And Closer, I don't think I've seen him this large in a game so far this season. As
maybe
they're
not even
trying to stay out of vision. Closer is now on vision completely. Duro going to get spotted here. This Baron is going down so incredibly low. Carrier gets into the pit. He'll have some vision there. The health bars are going low. Owner, can he get in there? The answer is no. The Stranglethorns gets the knockups as well as Carrier thrown around like a ragdoll. Faker dives in now. They're looking for the last-ditch effort. As Clear has found Owner. He dives on top of Faker and executes him. Zeus now trying to do what he can, but it is over. It is done. They'll take the Baron. They'll take the team fight. And by goodness, they're going to take the game.
In BNK, we were watching, we're holding our breaths, Atlas, because we were like, there's no way. There's no way, right? That even a game win would be colossal for this team. And you look at the scoreline, it's not even close.
It's not. And it's beautifully executed. It's wonderfully played here from BNK as well. Maybe this is the start of their resurgence right at the end of the first round robin of summer. There goes the Nexus. It's only one game, but this is a team that was at the very bottom of the standings, 9th place. To then taking a game off T1 is massive for this squad.
And I'm left scratching my head as well for POG. I think I got to give it to Closer. I think that mid lane performance, absolutely beautiful, but I think a Duro vote would
I mean, a Raptor vote as well.
A Hannah vote?
His arrows are pretty good.
I don't know. I hope this is a split one because I think this was a team effort.
Yeah.
Clear in some of the team fights had a pop-off moment.
He did.
And BNK, we have not seen this team this alive, I think, in the entire year.
No, I haven't seen this team ever. This is a new team. And they're playing so well as a squad. The fact that Duro was matching all of Carrier's roams, they were ahead of the plays. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where they came from, but I hope they stick around because this BNK is fantastic.
And for T1, gotta go back to the drawing board. On theory, that Ivern and Tristana, 1-2, amazing. But in practice, I just think it doesn't work for T1. I feel like we need to see Owner on something proactive and Faker on something he's more comfortable.
I would agree. I think that the Tristana hasn't been necessarily a good thing for T1 alongside, of course. Like, Owner is one of these players that does definitely do well when he has a lot of engage opportunities himself. Ivern, not that champion. But it's time for us to go to a short break. When we get back, game number 2. See you there.
끝났어. 아 빨리 가야 돼. 미드 하지 마. 레오나 12초. 레오나 노플이다. 레오나 노플. 레오나 먼저. 아이번 플래시 있고.
다 같이 타.
야 잘했다. 아 폰탄만 쓴다. 아이번 노플. 아이번 오케이. 야 보자. 보자. 야 레오나까지. 오케이. 야 다 죽여. 지렸어.
Just beautiful to see.
I like, you know, that we all have our own views and sometimes they clash. All I'd wish for is at some point during the space, just get VN cast. Get them on the call.
Oh, that's what we need.
Right? Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, no, I think that is something
we're gonna
we
make
have to work out for the future. Yeah,
we're gonna make this happen.
That's a round 2 thing. Perhaps they could even just be a part of the space, you know, like Cubby used to be. Just put them on the TV.
Oh my God, love that.
Just VN TV. That's what we can do. All right, we've got Ash banned away as well as the Renekton and the Vi, and there is Rumble, Nidalee, and Sejuani. So, Tristana, Corki, both of them still up and available. Let's see what the priority is going to be here for T1 as Ezreal is going to be locked away first.
And it makes me wonder if they want to play Ezreal mid. I think Guma on the Ezreal unfortunately just didn't look that good. Also comes off the back of some of the performances we've seen from Viper, who I think right now very clearly at first place, but I think even Pace has had some standout games on it.
Aiming's also looked pretty good.
Aiming's looked good on it. We've had Deft as well. Henna has been a very early fan of this.
Yeah.
So him picking up doesn't come as too much of a surprise. And this is, I really, again, want to reiterate, the confidence from BNK to say, pick Tristana again, do it.
Yeah.
Like, we don't care. Closer will lock in whatever is left open, and he will stop. And I gotta say, I really think that when it comes to the current level of tier list, something that Gen G was very vocal about, what T1 is doing makes complete sense. But after that first game, it gives me pause, Atlas. I think that they are trying to play a style that maybe doesn't work for them. I think Faker just hasn't looked good on the Tristana. He's had some games where he's like really popped off, but outside of that, hasn't been enough. The Corki would make a lot of sense here. Maybe they want to go for the Lucian.
Maybe you just lock in Zyra here as well, because Raptor was pretty good on it.
Wow.
Instead, the Aatrox's going to be picked up, and now a couple of bans to protect it if they would like to use them, but not taking the Zyra, not taking the Corki. Kind of crazy to me. And Clear looked brilliant, honestly. Like, this is sort of shades of the Clear that we were seeing in Challenger that was just kind of smurfing on everyone.
Yeah.
He was so incredible. Him and Thanatos were so much better than everybody else. No other top laner really existed in Challenger when they were at their peak.
No. I'm trying to think back to the Ilma days, but I don't think even
he wasn't there.
That was a different era. Unfortunately, the Yasuo ban very cute here to come through. It's Closer, so it's not a surprise. You know, he loves his melee picks.
And Faker has been playing a lot of Yasuo, so probably knows how the matchup goes.
In a bad way, as in not very fun for the Tristana. Not going to be the angle here. The Jace still going to get taken away. Even though they were able to match it, I do think that it was very obvious that Zeus was trying his darndest. And if they had one more pressure point on the map, I think that Jace could have been the difference maker. Even in the final fight, did an incredible amount of damage. What is going to be the pickup here for Raptor? I imagine that's what you want to go towards, and then you can keep this mid lane pick hidden, because there's not really a need for you to pick it up here.
And you can keep flexing the Ziggs as well. I think Zyra, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Looked very, very good, and more plants was better than just, you know, the one plant with his rock friend, you know?
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one-to-one friend. Last time,
ooh, he's going to lock it this time. Yasuo and the Braum to be picked up here from Carrier.
Oh, we haven't mentioned this yet, but this should seem obvious, right?
Oh, God, yes. This is Closer.
This is his most iconic champion. It's a champion that we've seen him be very hit or miss. I think this is a lot more consistent. I actually quite like this. We've seen Zeka have standout performances on this. Chovy's also picked it and was fine, but it's Gen G. The data isn't real. I gotta say, Atlas, I'm looking at this T1 comp, and you are very reliant on doing a really good job in your lanes, because I think that, unlike last game, the Yone fits much worse than the Jace did in this style of composition. You can try and play, you know, aggressively and go in with Daisy and Ziz instead of big combos. Faker can jump in. But if the game state is anything like last time, you don't have the Jace to bail you out. And I love the composition for BK. Good damage spread, good front line, lot of CC, and I think the lanes are actually looking quite good here for BNK. Now, T1 also had a lot of issues when it came to actual gameplay.
Yeah.
I imagine that they shore those up, but this isn't, I think, the type of draft that fills you with confidence. And imagine if BNK managed to get a big upset winner today. Would be huge for a team that struggled so much this summer.
I would agree. And I want to go back to what the changes are here for T1, because we were seeing the Yone hover, and I thought that in the context of having Leona there, Yone worked. With the Braum, you'd love a Jace. Jace would be so nice, and of course was banned away this time around by BNK, but maybe it was a different way that they could have gone. That being said, if they just tidy up the play on the side of T1, it will be a very different story, right? We know what this team is capable of. They're world champions, reigning for a reason. See whether they can find that as we head to the Rift for Game 2.
재판사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right. Here we are onto the Rift for game number 2. And we'll see whether T1 can bring us to a game 3 here. And they're going to have to double down. I think that if the momentum is going to continue in the way that B&K had it in game number 1, this could just be a 2-0. They just looked really good.
It was a stomp. Right? The game realistically was a stomp. And we kept kind of waiting because we've cast enough T1 games at least to know that.
And I think that it was warranted, yeah.
But if they get a similar lead in this game, then it might be very, very different case. So we do take a look at some of the rune setups here. Nothing too surprising. Raptor going for the Conqueror again. They will keep track. I feel like tracking a Zyra doesn't do nearly as much for you as it does in some other situations.
You also get a bit of an idea because she kind of leaves breadcrumbs, you know?
She does.
It's a little bit of the Hansel and Gretel situation.
Now
I don't know where she is.
You know, what is the Red Riding Zyra, where she just has bread instead of plants?
Oh, yeah, that could kind of work.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, but not too much, because if you think about it a little bit more, I know how you're really going to make that happen.
But you need to have a Warwick skin as well that's sort of themed the same way.
Isn't that just every Warwick skin?
Yeah, actually, hang on. And it was Annie, and also the breadcrumbs is Hansel and Gretel, and so then you'd need, like, maybe the Daisy with like the cupcakes and stuff like that. Yeah, it was all about the big house that was edible and things.
It's tough for me because of the names are different in Dutch.
Ah,
so
true.
I have a hard time, but thank you for that. We do see the Braum level 1 being absolutely huge here, surprisingly. So Hannah and Duro having a much rougher time than they did last time. Although Duro did start that game by headbutting a cannon. That did happen.
So now he's going to have to Zenith Blade a minion, and that's not going to do nearly as much. And so that's probably a good thing. Still, with this wave stacking up, that's kind of how Ziggs wants it in this early stage. As now Zeus going aggressive on to clear. Unbinds the soul, feels pretty good about it. And Closer, is he having a pretty good time here in this mid lane. And I want to talk about Closer a little bit, just because I feel like he's lost a lot of what made him the great player that he was. The player that we were really excited about watching. And it was the fact that he would just go for risky plays. And he also looked completely unfazed by anything that happened, by his opposition, right? Like, he wasn't the kind of person that would seem nervous ever. As that was a nice sidestep there on the piercing light, as Faker's going to miss the rocket jump, then does get the reset and gets out, but still, not exactly the greatest of situations.
Oh,
here as they're playing.
looking.
Yeah, he's looking for the option. See whether he gets there, as there's the grasping roots, but Faker does make his way out. Turret shot going to land, as now Duro really far up in this lane. Gonna get stunned up there as well. The door is going to come down, but Duro still has to flash away. Henna not offering that much back at this point in time, and T1 looking like they are moving with a little bit more spring in their step this time around.
One upside is that Hannah obviously is going to be very safe, so even with Duro backing, we'll still be able to try and farm. Carrier, nicely done there, denying him the opportunity to farm from a distance. And this wave state is a little bit rough.
Yeah.
There, Raptor, this is, I think, the one thing where Zyra really struggles, is that even if you flash, you know, even with Faker close to the wall, your roots aren't fast. They're notoriously slow. And we see right there, Faker still has the response time. Still getting a flash. I think Closer is going to be able to use that very nicely. Was doing great in the matchup. Imagine that will continue. And with his 6 in the horizon, should be able to play big on that, as Duro might be in some trouble here.
Yeah, Carrier's going to turn up. Some plans coming down here as well. And yes, no flash means no life anymore. And that is first blood going over to Faker. A much better start here for T1.
Duro getting completely caught off guard there. I think maybe was expecting a person, but it was 2. And that combination of the Braum and the Ivan, they're so sticky. It's so hard to get away from them once you've been tagged by anything. If you either get tagged by a Q or of either of them, you're not getting away, especially not without the flash. So Duro has played a very aggressive game number 1 as well. Does get punished here. Nicely done by T1. Starting to build an early lead here, and Faker, as we see, getting the help from his teammates.
Yeah, Ona here,
very
perfect
straightforward.
timing. Yeah, exactly right. And rocket jump, going to get Faker in there, and nothing that Closer can really do. At that point, he's got a Culvo. He's settling in for the long haul. As the looks, as Duro going to come back once again. This time takes the northern route, and that one seems to have worked, as somehow Carrier managed to not find that Winter's Bite. It looked a little bit like it went through Duro, but that's fine. He's going to land that one on the closer.
This is the great thing about having Lucian in mid if you're Leonia. Like, I can just lane here now.
Yeah.
And honestly, this is
multiple options.
Yeah.
And in
it's
fact,
like, hey, I got an AD carry. He can proc my Q.
It kind of looks like you've just put your mid laner in the bottom lane really early. Because that's where Ziggs kind of started. It's where Showmaker recently played him.
Thanks, APA.
How it all goes, exactly right. As all right, now we're all just piling in on top of Raptor. Can he get the buttons off? The answer is absolutely not. As now the Culling's coming in. Carrier solo, Faker also solo. Duro so slow though. And he's not going to be able to catch up to them. He might just be lying on the floor as well, and Ona's going to pick it up with the explosion of the Trigger Seed. T1 just kind of toying with them in this game.
Yeah, that's Ivan Brom right there. That's how it's supposed to work. The early shielding, the safety, so incredibly powerful here for T1. Able to get the most out of it, particularly with a champion with resets like Tristana. Very nice collapse there on top of Raptor, who didn't have his flash available due to the earlier fight.
And the aggressive flash over the wall, right? Like, punished for that.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel great here for B&K. You're getting overly aggressive.
Oh yeah, of course, was in the mid lane gank.
Yeah. Zeus is doing some Zeus things here on the top side of the map. I was going to say Yone things, but it's more just Zeus things. His Yone is so incredibly oppressive. Is doing exactly that here. It's clear not exactly having as much fun as he was in the last game. But let's have a look at this one more time. And as soon as Raptor gets tagged, it's just everyone is on top of it.
It's the Q from Owner that's the biggest one, because it gives everyone a free gap closure. Just the Q from Carrier hitting is nice, but it's the follow-up that makes the difference. And then here, they just don't have the cooldowns yet, right? Closer throws out his ultimate, but it doesn't actually take anyone down. He doesn't really have the tools at that point to try and make anything else happen. And the trades are good. And when this composition is ahead, we didn't get to see it last game, even more so with the Brom, it's really obnoxious to play into. When Ivan just gets to set up shop and objectives, throw down his brushes, people just get to poke, take pot shots, use the extra damage that makes your life very unpleasant, Atlas.
Certainly does. And Faker now as well does have 3 grubs for his Tristana. Also had first blood, so he is in such a better position than he was in game number 1. B&K, they will be able to at least take the first dragon once again. I don't think that there is going to be enough, although they are closing in. Duro, can he actually get them out of this pit?
Gonna have a fight.
Yeah, it's looking like it. As Mountain Drake, very, very tanky. Raptor is going to be able to secure it as now Duro making his way in. Faker going to get stunned, but the buffer was good. Now the Hextech Minefield is down, and Henna should be able to take some control. And we haven't really seen a fight with the Ziggs around as well. I think that Henna should have a fair bit of ability to help out in a lot of these situations, especially Mega Inferno Bomb. If there are those, the brushes down, you just put a big old circle in there and you say, well, you can take a lot of damage or you can get out of those brushes.
It really is a circle comp, right? They have, well, I guess if you count Aatrox Q3, 4 circles.
That's a lot of circles.
One composition. What we saw there as well is a really big thing, and I think why T1's lead matters so much, is that whoever gets first move is basically impossible to siege. I think it's a little bit better for B&K because they have a Leona, and Clear can maybe look for a flank angle, but we saw there as well, like T1 wanted to fight, but trying to engage on top of Zyra specifically, unless it's on top of her, makes it really, really tough as, I don't think Zeus is the target you guys are looking for.
Yeah, he's going to unbind the soul. Look for an angle here as Clear does get rid of the minions quite effectively. And Closer just doing his very best to try and hold onto this turret as Faker goes in. There's the bust shot, and there is the kill! Just stacks up the explosive charge and nowhere for Closer to go. That's 4-0. It's just a complete reversal.
So we figured out the problem in the previous game was that Faker wasn't fed when he made his plays, and now he is.
Very. It's actually, it's just, and It's Zeus and Gumayusi not really being a part of any of this. It is just Carrier and Owner coming on over and saying, all right, Faker, we're going to get you a whole bunch of kills, and then you can just carry us, and it's going to be fine. As Mega Inferno Bomb does come on down, Gumayusi taking a bit of damage there. And actually finding a fair bit here, as we can see.
The problem is that actually taking down Guma is not really realistic. And this is the type of Ziggs which, in theory, can work out, where you just use him as a wave clear tool, you know, with his poke and with his teleport and with his ultimate. But that isn't as strong as the aggressive Ziggs. I think DRX still are the best example that we've seen this split, where you use him as a turret pushing tool by playing strong side towards bot. Might be looking for it here.
Well, this is definitely playing towards bot, as there is the satchel charge being thrown on in. Not quite anywhere near being able to take this one down, as there is the redemption. And that is going to lock that one up, as Faker continues to be frustrating. Closer, no teleport available. Had to cull very recently as well. We didn't quite see it. That's on cooldown also. A lot of tools available.
Yeah, it's Blade of the Rune King Dungeon for Faker. He has Owner with him as well. His mid lane turret is not long for the World Atlas.
And Closer may not be either, as there's the root caller. Goomba Stomp does come on down here, and that's another stack up. And that is just Faker killing him one more time. With the help of Owner, they'll be able to take out this outer turret as well. And everything's just on fire for B&K. It was joy. It was beautiful. They were in Valhalla for game 1. Game 2 is a very different story.
You can see T1 after that game 1 really pulling back the reins, saying, okay, guys, we played fast and loose. Didn't really play to our win conditions. Realistically, looking at the draft, I think that T1 should have a lot of power, and this time around they're playing like it.
Well, then going to be employed here by Clear. Looks to clear out the wave as well, as now Owner's going to turn up at the same time. There are no minions left as he does flash on over, but there's the ulti from Zeus. There is the cleanup. They do manage to collect that kill, as now Raptor not finding any Stranglecorn value at all, really.
Yeah, the flash. Owner actually just got out.
All right. Is there good news that's going to be coming here for B&K? That's my question, because right now we're moving towards, I mean, it's a 5,000 gold lead. We're 100 shy of it.
If you're a fan of maximum amount of League of Legends, this brings the odds
there
up.
you go.
It's very straightforward. Lucian into Tristana is an extremely volatile matchup. Faker got ahead thanks to, I think, some great early roams from Carrier as well as Owner. And now Closer is just going to chain that. Like, it's reminiscent of what we saw with the Ezreal versus LeBlanc. It's like the type of matchup where once you start falling behind, you need to move up to the wave to try and clear, and you can't. So, yeah, no, I think this is looking like we are heading to game number 3, which is fun.
It is.
It's not what we expected. I still think we can look positively upon the win that B&K got. I don't think they'll be repeating. Oh god, that was very close. Raptor actually had to smite. I don't think they'll be repeating the performance of game number 1, and I don't think T1 is really gonna give up the lead that they've found so far.
Don't think so. Definitely not in this one. As there are some stall tactics that are available, as Faker once again going to buff the rocket jump. We're not going to be able to find too much of an angle just there. Root caller just to deny Duro even further. Chemtech once again going to be coming out as one of our first couple of Drakes, meaning that we don't have to deal with that soul, which is quite good. Clear being toyed with here on the top side of the map as Zeus just waits for this turret to go down. Carrier looking to try and block what he can, but is going to be in a turret protected by the Ziggs. But this is not the Ziggs doing the things that we like talking about, which is killing turrets and getting plates and being rotated around so you can maximize the amount of structural damage you can get done. This is not that at all. He's managed to take one plate on the bottom side, I think. I believe we got word of that just prior, but
Atlas,
not really anything.
They've gotten one Drake.
Yeah.
Gotten one Drake this game.
They did.
I don't know if they're going to get a whole lot more.
Well, they're not going to get this Drake, because this one's going to T1.
Yeah, I'm really trying to look for something, but Braum Ivern comms, man.
It's the Zig scaling. Oh, it's actually a Cloud Soul.
I'm going to go back to what happened to G2 at MSI, which is the only way you lose if
Solar Flare goes completely
caught.
wide, and there is the Tristana possibly not getting caught.
Yeah, that's the only angle. Like that's how If I remember correct, yeah, this was T1 versus G2, right? Game number 3. And G2 was in a really good position, and all they needed to do was not get caught. Then, unfortunately, I think T1 found the catch in mid, if I remember correctly, and from there on out, there wasn't really a whole lot more that they could do. That's the position T1 is in right now. I'd like to think that they've learned from that and won't repeat the same mistake again, because there are a lot of compositions where, you know, one bad team fight can take you out of it.
Yeah.
One player overextending in side lane, the poke setup that isn't great. But I'm just looking at the 1v1 matchups, and they're a disaster. I'm looking at who do you actually lock down here, outside of specifically Ivern?
Yet none of them. Braum, maybe. It's looking a little bit tough, because like you were saying, there's Arcane Shift, there is Rocket Jump, Gumushi, and
engaging on Braum just never works.
Yeah.
You know what I think it's time for, Atlas?
What's the time for?
Is we find a new topic of conversation. Because I don't want to just keep talking about how doomed it is for BNK.
Maybe we could... what if you found out right now that actually BNK won this game? How would they then go about doing that?
A thought experiment?
Yeah.
Catch on Tristana into Nash.
All right, I guess that's just how it goes. That's a good point. You did bring that up. Okay, yeah, no, I think it's been exhausted. It has been exhausted.
Why? I could try to find more, but I was really trying hard before.
You were digging deep. You
I
went all the way back to G2.
I went back like May. That's what, 2.5 months?
Yeah, it's quite some time. It's quite some time. As all right, there's an ulti. That's going to get a flash out, so Closer at least will survive for the moment, as this inner turret not going to be going down just yet. Ran out of minions momentarily, but getting the flash out of Closer, this is very dangerous times. Raptor just trying to exist in his jungle. As all right, Stranglethorn's going to come in. That's going to get a flash out. That is good news. This is not good news, though, because Zeus has his soul unbound and just destroys Closer. That's a solo kill. That's 0-3 now for the Lucian. And Raptor's going to come up. He needs to catch this wave as it comes in. He's putting out fires as best he can, but this is just, you know, charred up here.
Should have been Aurelia. That's what Closer said.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think it would have made a meaningful difference. I think T1 really cleaned up their game this time around, and they don't have vision. As it's just making the read. Closer.
Yeah.
You can't make that back when you don't have your flash. Even if you do have your flash, probably shouldn't. If you're under the turret, maybe Zeus doesn't go for that play, but instead going to be a kill over to a Yone that was already hard winning his lane.
And now Clear could be in a bunch of trouble. Does have Raptor moving on over, and Duro is in position. There are quite a few members of T1 in the area. And this outer turret is going to get taken for that reason. And we haven't really seen much from Clear this game either, right? He has been at the mercy of Zeus' Yone.
Well, he got counter picks and then, you know, ganked once or twice.
There's the knock up. Engage Braum coming on in there, as they'll just buy enough space to guarantee themselves this blue buff steal. That is successfully going to happen. As Daisy still staying amongst it. Clear looking for that flank angle, seeing whether he can get Faker, but not going to be able to stop him from rocket jumping away. And BNK, just not a lot of inroads, not a lot of options, and the inner turret just going to be taking a lot of damage here towards his top side. Mega Inferno Bomb is going to clear out the wave, but he's not going to have too many more of those for the next little while. And he kind of wishes that he had as many as possible, because there are waves to be taken all over the place. T1 just seemed to be pushing everywhere. Zeus once again going in onto Closer. Taking a lot of damage though, rebinds the soul, and he'll get out of there. It's really a rough time. There is just not a lot of things going well for BNK in this game, and it is a complete role reversal, because it's kind of what was happening in the last game. But it was the other nameplates.
Yeah, really, the only thing that makes this one feel less bad is that we just watched BNK do exactly the same thing. Right. I'm trying to think of something, Atlas, that doesn't feel like a non sequitur.
So why didn't your place flood? Because you're in the same building as Dan. Why didn't your place flood?
Yeah, we didn't. We don't have a balcony.
Ah, so it's the balcony problem.
That's what it seemed like, yeah. It wasn't a problem with the actual building, even though we're relatively close to the river. Post a picture of that actually. It was quite something, as it is currently monsoon season.
It is. There's a lot of water all over the place. I actually kind of miss living near the Han River, where I used to be able to like walk past and just see just how ridiculously overflowed it is.
I kind of want to see the actual river. That's going to be even more fun.
Yeah, that was the most fun. Going for those walks just to discover, and where you just like you basically wear like your swimsuit.
Oh yeah.
And just go for a walk. You just leave your umbrella at home, except that you're going to get extraordinarily wet.
It's
and
nice.
Just go for a walk. Yeah, I love it. So liberating.
Oh,
Walking
really
in the rain.
is.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's the best. No one does it here. Everyone's very, very scared of getting rained on.
Yeah,
I don't know why. You'd be very used to it as
our weather is not great.
I mean, if you really like rain, it's the best weather ever.
No, because that's the worst part. It's not even rain, it's just perpetual drizzle. You don't even get the catharsis or the emotional impact of a good... Like, sometimes you do.
Of, like, the rain on the roof sound? Like, you don't get that as much?
The rain on the... You know, the romantic scene in the rain?
Yeah.
No, it's just drizzle.
But what about this teleport? This could be an option here. As
double TP?
Zeus is going to make it happen. Yeah, double TP does come on in. Zeus is going to be ulting around for a little bit, buying as much time as he can as the rest of his team head toward the Baron. And, yeah, Zeus might even be able to die on his own terms here on this one as well, as he does unbind. He's doing some tricky stuff, but the Infernal Chains will come on down, and there's the slam dunk. So they take the top laner. Raptor wanting to try and get in here. I don't know whether he's going to be able to, though. And Faker is going to be able to kill him in the meantime. Duro looking to flash away, but that is a reset on that rocket jump, and Faker's going to find even more. That's the double. They'll take a Baron to boot, and yes, B&K do manage to get their first kill of the game, but it's in trade for probably a Nexus after all things are said and done.
I don't think you'll take that trade, Atlas.
It's not a great one.
I was parsing the map. I was trying to figure it out. It's not worth it. You don't go for this trade if you have any choice, but they don't. They're 10k gold behind.
They did increase their amount of kills this game by infinity.
Oh, Atlas, this game is breaking.
Yeah.
The previous game, we didn't get anything to talk about either.
Yeah, no.
And then this game is a complete disaster as well.
It is. Thankfully, it's on the other side, so we get to see the true winner in game number 3. Or at least we assume it would be a colossal throw. I don't even know whether this game is throwable, because it is looking extraordinarily over. It's a 10,000 gold lead, 23 minutes, shellacking territory well and truly. As Carrier puts up the door, and B&K desperately just trying to hold off these Baron minions. There are brushes everywhere, and this is what this comp does so incredibly well. Henna is going to get chunked out. Solar Flare is going to connect. There's the Mega Inferno Bomb doing a fair bit of work, and they're going for the re-engage. Can they find it as Clear, the one that managed to get a kill, is going to try and end the world, but unfortunately it's his that ends instead. And T1 getting a bunch of extra exit kills here as well. Zeus does fall down, so it is a 2-for-1 trade. Daisy also going to suffer her demise, but T1's still going to be able to get their prize. That is going to be the inner turret on the bottom side of the map, and they might be able to get even more. As I apologize for the rhyme halfway through there. It was not my intent, I promise.
I didn't even notice it, Atlas.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Being enamored by what is happening right in front of us on the screen. T1, get the bot lane in it. The pressure continues.
And it is now a 12,000 gold lead.
Yeah, they can just end, but I think this is the catharsis, you know?
Yeah, you need to dig the screws in.
Because it's raining in Seoul.
It is.
So T1 is feeling that energy.
Aha.
They're making it happen.
It is one of, so one of the things that I do find a little bit sad is that there's a lot of apartment living here in Seoul, and you don't get that rain on the roof sound.
I think rain on the windows it's good, but it's not the same.
It's not the same.
No, I agree.
Rain on the roof is phenomenal. Let's have a look at this replay here. As B&K, I mean, they're 12,000 gold behind. So this was a decent angle, and if Clear was anywhere near parity, might have been okay.
Yeah, if he was
Wallet's rained down, you know.
Could have maybe made something happen. Not the case, so he just doesn't have the damage. There's just not enough stats to actually take him down is, oh, but I don't know how they got here, but it's not good, Atlas.
Yeah, we're out of the replay, into the fire, and Gumayusi throwing through these Mystic shots. They might get Daisy. There you go, clear. Looking for a flank angle. This is a bit weird, to be perfectly honest, because we're Alcove gaming, and now Gumayusi is in a little bit of, no, Clear's in a lot of trouble. And there's an ulti from Zeus. He dives in. They're able to take down Raptor. And now Faker, he just kills all of them. He gets a triple. Guma's going to grab a double. It's a full house. Faker's full of Gumas, and they'll now move towards the enemy base and probably end this game.
Yeah, say bad, Atlas. The super minions are knocking at the door, and T1 says, okay, yeah, we can help you out with that one.
Yeah, I think it's time to stop messing around. Let's go to game 3 and really throw down in this one. There goes the Nexus. T1, a swift turnaround after what was a disappointing first game, and back to business as usual.
Not a whole lot of recompense. I'm just trying to think, do I go Faker, do I go Owner? I know Faker's gonna get it.
Yeah,
I feel like Owner really deserves it, but I feel like I'd be that.
You should do it.
I
believe in the hipster vote for this one. I actually think
I genuinely think
it's his first Ivan win as well.
I think the lane was won by Owner and Carrier, and then I think Faker capitalized really nicely, but who am I kidding? I'm being 11 out of 12, but I will take it.
I'm there with you. Okay,
that means a lot.
It's the 11 out of 13. All right, that's what it's going to be. I'm going to pretend I exist.
These are the faces of the team.
Oh man, yeah.
Got shellacked.
Yeah, not feeling too great about this one, nor about these damage numbers, which are also not looking too good. Up and to the right, as far as the gold graph is concerned. Clean one followed by an even cleaner one as far as the victory is concerned. 15.4 thousand gold, the lead as well. Some of the stats certainly getting padded in this one, but it is now time for us to take a short break. Then the space is going to break down that demolition show put on by T1. And we'll have game number 3, see whether B&K can find their way back.
네, 다 있다. 괜찮도 여기 있고. 아트랑 나랑 비슷할 것 같아. 아트가 살짝 빨아줄게. 남라인. 오른쪽에 아트 있어, 형들. 아이번에 오른쪽에 아트. 오케이. 나왔어. 내가 아트 밀어줄 수 있을 것 같아. 뭔데 줄게. 아트가 앞으로 방당이야. 천천히 해봐. 천천히 할게. 나왔어. 내가 다 잡을 수 있거든. 천천히만 좀 봐주면. 와드 없다. 여기 핑 와드 있나? 부시 깔아줄게. 쿵. 나 빠질게. 펜타. 바텀 텔은 없네. 일단 가보자. 어디 갔어?
Two squads, not something I was expecting to say today, to be perfectly honest. See what is going to be adjusted.
What will be the change up here? B&K, game number 1, close to a perfect game. T1, game number 2, also close to a perfect game.
Yeah.
All that we want is a game that, you know, has at least a little bit of a tug-of-war, a back and forth. We'll see if that's what we're going to be getting here. As the Ash Band do love that. We saw the priority that B&K put on it, and Hannah had an exceptional performance on it.
Ooh,
I actually don't mind this. I think Closer had a really good game. And I know Faker just got PUG for his Tristana, but it still has, to me, a level of volatility that makes me go, that's okay. The Ivern, I think, makes sense again. Really, it's one of those interesting games where I think as either team, you can feel relatively confident running back parts of the draft, right? The Tristana is definitely going to come out here. I do think that they need to ban away the Braum. I think the caster or the desk actually did a really good job of highlighting how much value that Braum did get. Keria also, I think, was a very great right medieval, because if you look at a lot of those early game plays, he was there, setting them up, being on the front foot.
Well,
this is interesting, because this actually puts T1 in a bit of an awkward position. They will unlock in Tristana, but that does mean that at least some of the Gnar counters are going to get banned away. The GP, I think, most likely. That's a price that T1 is willing to pay as Faker locks in Tristana.
And this is the call that they got in both games 1 and 2, of course. But now, I think there should be some triage that should be possible. And I think the Braum, like you were saying, needs to be the first one taken away. That is... I mean, Keria looked incredible on it in the last game, but it also just augments the composition so beautifully. I think that the space illustrated it really, really well. And I think that has to be ban number 1. Or at least ban number 2. I guess the order doesn't actually matter that much. Jace going to be taken away here. Of course, Jace in Gnar, a bit of a classic. And yeah, then just as long as you find the Braum ban, that's all I require. Unless they ban Yone, maybe they really want to protect Clear and give him an actual laning phase. But I honestly think you sacrifice Clear for the good of the colony and you stop Keria from being on the Bram.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I think Keria's Leona games have also looked a little bit more iffy. As all, the
good old MF, digging deep.
Kind of like that. I do actually think that we're kind of building towards an MF.
There it is.
Angle. Leona, it's the obvious one. That's the one loss for BNK, is that they can't pick Braum into Leona. I don't think they're going to be too sad about that. Can also pick up the pick for Zeus here.
Yeah.
And be the most shocking thing to come through. And Zeus is just going to take one for the team. Did a very admirable job, although it wasn't enough in game 1. Then, you know, had a great Yone game and still managed to be, I think, the only one on the team that died, which is very funny.
Hey, but he died to get a Baron.
Oh, no.
Strategic
he still had a great game, right? Insane amount of pressure. Ooh, okay.
Interesting.
Interesting in a bad way, I take it.
Yeah.
It hasn't really been working out.
It's not giving me a lot of positive vibes.
It's not giving?
No.
No, I'm with you. I think the Senna has really struggled. When Guma isn't playing Senna anymore, you kind of know.
That's Seraphine.
Okay. That kind of catches me off guard. Because I think Seraphine picking it when the Senna's like locked in, you want to deny it, that makes sense. I guess whenever Ornn ults, you can just throw the Seraphine ult out in response. So it makes sense in that regard. And you have double Enchanter, which double Enchanter, double AD carry is very fun to play into.
Yep.
I guess in that light, it does make some sense.
Also in the sense of the intro for the LCK at the moment and the break music the majority of the time, it's a lot of Seraphine that we've had going on with the Anima squad.
Oh, very, very true. I actually played it, and it is more of a, you know, you can play with up to 4 people.
Yeah.
I tried it. If you play it solo, it's not great. But if you play with a lot of people, yeah, because she is kind of a support, even in that game mode.
Oh, right. So you're just saying like Seraphine herself.
In that game mode is also very supportive. We'll see what style Keria is going to go for here. There are obviously a bunch of different builds one can go for. And T1, let's be clear, even after that game number 1, still very heavily the favorites. But I think the BNK draft, I think it looks good. I think this has a lot of power. The main issue is that bot lane. Are they going to bring enough to the table in the mid game?
Yeah, and they're up against Seraphine Ezreal as well, which does not sound like a whole lot of fun.
No.
That is double ranged and a lot of poke, and you're just going to need as many Qs as possible, Henna, and we'll see whether he can find enough of them. Maybe another possibility here for BNK. They did it in game 1. We'll see whether they can do it here in game number 3.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
I feel like the T1 fans have gotten louder and louder. as the day has gone on. And of course, this is the deciding game. And a victory moving towards their matchup against Home Life Esports on Saturday is extraordinarily important, right? They need to stay in that race for getting at least towards second. Gen.G not looking like they're going to lose ever this season.
They're definitely not likely to lose their next series, Atlas.
Hey, we thought that was the case for this series as well, Chronicler, okay?
Okay, but T1 has also dropped games to Pro.
Owie.
And Gen.G don't really have the same habit of dropping random games against weaker teams.
Yeah, if that was the case, they wouldn't have dropped any games at all this whole season.
Exactly.
All right. Okay, yeah, that's exactly what happened.
I do want to give a little bit of credit here to Duro for going Unsealed Spellbook.
Hey, there we go.
No grasping this time around. Yeah, no,
Yesterday
sorry.
was not it.
I know. I was very unhappy about
4 grasp stacks by 17 minutes. That's what we saw in yesterday's game.
Yeah.
You know, I was very close to managing to push that completely out of my brain.
And then now I reintroduced it.
Yeah, it's now back in.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right.
I had to live through it, as did you.
For the science, sometimes you have to realize that A, Scion Center is not what it used to be, and B, taking Grasp into double ranged is not great. Although there was a Leona in that lane, wasn't there? It didn't help.
Yeah, but even, like, Leona is just going to leave the lane, which she did.
Yeah.
I want to highlight Carrier actually going for the Jack of all trades as well as First Strike. So this is a build that isn't as strong as it was, I say, as they relentlessly pummel them. Yeah, because the last one was Senna. Also, one of those Gen.G wins, I just really want to... We always talk about the caveats when it comes to stats. One of those Gen.G wins, I forgot, I think Pace was like 0-5, 0-4, was not due to Lahens and Pace having a good time.
But one of those one of those Gen.G wins was a masterclass of how to play the bottom lane.
I forgot who that was against, but the cancel on the dash Zeri with the...
It was against Bro.
Okay, well that does take away some of the...
Bro sometimes has to suffer for the highlight plays for their opposition, okay?
That is their purpose in the circle of life.
You know, honestly, like, if I was that selfless, I would be proud of myself, to be honest. Sometimes the Bros, they're just the next level.
No jump for Faker.
Yeah, Faker could be in trouble here as Owner is in exactly the right position. Grasping Roots will connect as Owner comes on over. It's a fair bit of health lost here for Faker, but doesn't have the flash, he'll be fine.
Just auto each other.
Yeah.
It's like Zara and Ivern both have such awkward walking animations as well.
Yep, and they're very planty.
Yeah, and they also don't, like, their autos aren't really the main draw.
Yeah.
See there, Owner good timing on the jump, covering for Faker, who doesn't have his rocket jump, so he doesn't have to invest his summoners. The minion situation, not great.
Yeah, there seems to be quite a few more for Gumushi than there have been for Duro so far, but it's a Senna lane, you know, it's not the end of the world.
It's not, and Senna, like, they did end up getting 25 to 30, so it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
In these type of situations, I think really Senna is actually, it's kind of underexplored, and I know there's a lot of min-maxers out there that are, every time Senna, like once we get to mid to late game, you can have Senna farm. That's okay. You know, that's a thing you can do. You can actually inject more resources into her.
Yeah, well, Faker is going very aggressive onto Closer, who has absolutely no mana. Carrier is going to turn up. And looks to drop the beat, but otherwise isn't going to find too much more. Neither the high note. So Senna's going to come on over. The Henna Senna, as it were. And Piercing Darkness is going to help keep Closer a little bit more healthy. Snare going to connect, but good buffer there from Faker is going to avoid any sort of follow-up. And so it is just a little bit of exchanging of blows, but feeling like it's already feeling like we get the classic like stomp close game. That's what I'm feeling.
That's all I'm asking. And I trust your waters, Atlas.
Yeah.
They're very often right. They're also very often
sometimes
wrong.
Colossally wrong.
I don't want to hold in on that.
There was a KT in first place prediction in spring that I'd like to draw everyone's attention to if they ever think that I am in any way able to predict anything correctly.
Really, in a way, it's like the weather.
Yeah.
You know, it's temperamental.
And I grew up in Melbourne, which has famously some of the most eclectic weather ever, and it's also the least predictable. And if you ever like watch a weather channel or anything like that for Melbourne, it's so funny.
They just throw their hands up.
They should. They often try to predict things based on meteorological stuff, and it's just not real.
You guys have the clear sun into hail, into clear sun in like the span of half an hour as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
awesome.
We just don't get snow. We do get pretty ridiculous hail.
Oh yeah,
not snow.
Yeah, no, we don't really get snow in the Netherlands either. That's actually one of my favorite parts of living in Korea.
Yeah, that we get snow. It's
oh my god.
I mean,
beautiful.
I can't wait. I can't wait for winter. I'm so excited. So excited. Is Henna not so excited here on this bottom side of the map as they are getting pushed in relentlessly. Raptor, though, is going to get started on these grubs.
That's nice. And some grubs. Mid lane also. Both these mid laners really extending the laning phase. They haven't backed. They're just both sitting on a single one. Is Duro.
Yeah, this is looking a little bit dicey, but Gumishi has to get over the wall and doesn't have very much mana left.
Wait, Duro's healed. He's vibing.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Henna's not vibing. I take it back.
Does now use the heal as Ona comes on in. There's the root caller, and oh dear. Duro. Very, very low Trisha Barrage. Splits them up, but they are still alive.
They don't have that much damage. That's
Man,
it's kind of awkward. They haven't backed.
Duro is very, very happy that he is a walking blacksmith, you know, a walking forge. He can just start building himself some stuff. And he didn't make that ruby crystal. If he didn't have that, he'd probably just be dead.
Yeah, so the play was still successful because Duro is sitting at 32 minions.
Yeah,
but when it comes to actually
less
getting
than
the kills,
64, I think.
Yeah, it's really not that bad a trade. It's nice for Owner that he gets the camp. Otherwise, it would have been even more one-sided. But because Raptor continued clearing and actually was able to take his topside grubs, or topside objective rather, in the grubs, he has built a pretty substantial lead. So it is somewhat of a sacrifice. But really, with me, or in my opinion, with support Ornn slash. It's not support Ornn, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Ornn in a duo lane. My main issue is always not the CS, not the amount of money he gets, because I feel like Ornn just always reaches a point of relevancy, but the levels. And that's something that I do think we need to see Henna go and move away from this lane. And I think that the Seraphine actually makes that really hard, because Seraphine, even in support, has a lot of shove, especially when compared with Ezreal, fulfills a very similar role to what the Karma would do, while you just keep throwing these Qs on top of waves. So Henna can never leave. So Duro's just stuck in a 2v2 lane, which obviously they're going to lose the shove. And all-inning pre-6 is not a thing because it's Ezreal. And then all-inning post-6 into Seraphine Ezreal is still very, very tough. So they're just kind of stuck underneath the turret, and it's not fun.
Ooh, Rocket going to miss Faker there. Probably important, as that one didn't. So that's Faker taking a lot of
just
damage.
a bait.
Does still have Rocket jump, like
here.
you're saying. Yeah, Trigger Seed comes on in. That's going to heal him up. Or, well, not heal him up, but at least give him a shield so he can stand in the lane. Look to clear this one out.
Tense game, Atlas.
It is
We're
very
getting what
tense.
we wanted.
And T1 are getting what they wanted as well here towards this bottom side, and that is plates. Crockery is what we're after. As it's looking to be a third. Should be taken down here, yep. Thanks to the W. And Raptor coming on over, wanting to clear out some vision. As we look, we turn our eyes to the dragon. First one going to be a Cloud. So no more Cloud Souls. It's not the end of the world.
And Duro just trying his very best to stay in his lane for as long as he can. Again, I think wants to just get as much experience as humanly possible. Now both 6 has been hit. And BNK might want to play for the grubs when they come through. Raptor will get spotted here. Does not check the brush just yet. As Willie the Ward is just sitting there.
That's going to get a fair bit of value if he doesn't walk in there. Zeus moving back over towards Clear, who's doing his very best to hold this wave at exactly where it is. Zeus wanting to break that little freeze.
That's
Pop
actually
is going to be traded. Nicely done.
It's good to see, and I know that this is what should happen in this matchup, right? You need like a 20 CS lead, but I think Clear has had so many rough performances that seeing him actually be able to make it happen against Zeus in isolation, again, completely par for the course. But given Clear's struggles this season, I think they're going to be pretty happy about that.
I would agree. And I think, you know, you go back to game number 1, he looked fantastic. Game 2, that was a roughie. That was a roughie for everyone. As T1, they're going to go for it again. This time it is just Duro. Henna is nowhere in sight. He's actually looking for a gank on that top side. Exactly. As Zeus looking to go all out, does pull them underneath the turret, loses a bunch of his tankiness though, and Henna doesn't really want to be tanking this turret. And as you can see there, if he got hit again, he would have been very, very dead. As Stranglethorns comes in, Zeus is going to avoid it, but no one's really hitting any of the turret's not hitting any of the bad guys. So it is just going to be Zeus going down in the end. They still managed to get the flash out of Raptor, and that is certainly good news. As the siege continues in this bottom lane, Duro, your turret is very low, and then you're going to find yourself kind of by yourself against two people. And so he is going to realize that, and he will vacate. 6 grubs going over to BNK, though, in trade for the dragon that is going to be picked up on the other side by Owner. First dragon coming on in. Daisy alongside Ivern going to be able to take that one down. So BNK, they want to be able to take down this turret.
6 grubs.
Yeah.
As you point out. I want to highlight, I want to see the replay. I think there was actually an angle for Zeus to get out there, maybe with the investment of his flash, but particularly given that they were winning towards the bottom side of the map, I think you can actually give it up. You're still going to get first turret blood as we take another look at this. So starts off by trying to clear out the wave, as you should. Is a cannon wave, so I think actually quite a nice timing. And here, I'm pretty sure if he just heads up, like Henna is so low, I think he can peace out.
Yeah.
Then again, Raptor did have his flash, so I think Zeus made the read. So I can try to get away, and then if Raptor flashes after me, he probably kills me. And then I end up going down anyway. So try to go for the outplay, didn't end up getting it. Really nice flash there from Raptor. If he gets knocked in, actually think that there is an angle there to get a return kill. Ooh, nicely done there. And really, this is one of the situations where maybe could have, you know, found a one line where you are in that play and you get out. You could have also just left beforehand, which is probably what should have happened. Unfortunately, Zeus extending and overestimating maybe his own tankiness a little bit there.
He's now back down towards the bottom side. That's where the top lane now exists, as Clear is down there as well. You did see that Faker in a bit of a long lane, but we're going to focus our attention elsewhere. As the Ram comes out, T1 getting knocked around a little bit, but the same treatment actually going over to the side of BNK is now Clear looking to jump after Faker. It is a Yordle battle, and he smacks him out of the air. Man, it was like he was playing volleyball, just throws him against the wall.
Clear has been watching his Haikyuu episodes at the ready to spike that ball.
Oh, man.
Faker gets taken down, and crucially, normally if Faker overextends, and in this case, he was just on the back, not even overextending, not pushing too far in the side lane, but just caught on a recall. If Faker gets caught like that, usually T1 has counter response, but that wasn't the case because BNK also making the play in mid lane. And Zeus.
Yeah, Raptor is going to usher him away here.
I think the catch would be huge, but I think this time around we'll still be fine. Also, Ivern was in the vicinity.
Didn't have the Rylai's, so not going to be able to get us slow with that particular plant. As here's the teleport, and Faker just not actually able to see it. And great Nabab positioning here as well from Clear, and as you can see, just throws him into the wall.
At the ready was Clear. Kill going over the closer is also ideal. We already have talked so many times about how volatile this matchup is. We saw legitimately between game number 1, game number 2, could not be a bigger difference. And now closer, like game 1, is getting a bit of lead, and we haven't talked about it yet. We are going to have to, Atlas, and that's the fact that the BNK composition, it gets kind of ridiculous.
It does do scale good.
Yeah, it really does. And T1 have some elements that I think will always be good. But I do think once you get to the really later stage of the game, once Duro becomes tanky enough, which he very obviously is not yet, he's going to be really hard to take down outside of Faker, who will then have to move up. And there is a lot of burst damage available for BNK. My main thing, though, for T1 that I'm worried about is that, yes, they have great disengage between the Ivern as well as Keria ult. And we already saw, you know, the Duro froze his ult, Keria froze his.
Yep. But
the Wombo combo, if Clear joins the conversation, that's something that T1 are going to have to be very respectful of.
Especially if Clear's going to continue playing around this Gnabar as effectively as he has been. As they're defending their outer turret in the mid lane quite nicely. Faker just getting to work in the jungle here. And Closer going to pick up that wave that Zeus just shoved in. 40 CS the advantage now for the Gnar, actually. And I was starting to think that Zeus would be catching back up just because he has had so much spare time in these side lanes. Not to be the case, though, as Clear is still kind of running the rift right now.
It's only going to get worse. I imagine Clear's going to look for Cleaver second and be able to chew for this pretty consistently. This is, again, a composition for T1. Once you start losing, recapturing control of the map is really tough. You don't have, outside of Zeus, anyone that can face check, and you want to aim in a side lane, so it's not like you have a jungler or a support, which has a lot easier time of transitioning from either clearing camps or, you know, support's job in general is just to make sure that you do have some vision. So that's always going to be a sacrifice that will have to be made. Clear also on the call, now fully done. Duro is still taking a whole lot of damage.
Yeah.
Be pulling the trigger here.
Yeah, there it is. Call of Forge God comes in. He flashes after Gumayusi, but he's not going to fall for it. They do get every summoner spell out of Carrier. That might be valuable here as we move further into the game. And of course, our second dragon is now up and available. That's going to be an Infernal as well, so a big one if you just manage to get one of them. 1,000 gold, though, is the lead for BNK. T1 going to move over and start off this dragon, and it looks like BNK not going to be able to answer it. Just not enough control in that river. So they'll give that one up. That's going to be 2 dragons to nothing in favor of T1.
We'll see what dragon it ends up being. Actually, one of the games where the Camtexo was unironically really good. You have the heal on one end.
True.
Or...
Oh, it's Earth, Wind, and Fire, though. Don't you worry about it.
Oh my god.
Yep. Getting closer and closer to September, you know? It's when it has to happen.
It really does. Actually, we really will try here at the LCK to continue getting Earth, Wind, and Fire.
That would be nice, because they're pretty good dragons as well. I'm down with it.
Yeah.
It's all right. Daisy going to help out moving towards the siege, but she doesn't last very long. Not quite able to get it down to half health just yet. So the K-Ram, not necessarily super successful, but it is still a lot of pressure being put on here by T1 as True Shot Barrage. Wow, the double value there. Standing in this brush, working out very, very well. Is now a teleport in. Closer making his way forward. Teleporting in answer here from Zeus as well. Wanted to get himself over because of the investment put in here by BNK. Now let's see whether they do successfully get this charge to work out. The charge is definitely coming in. It's just whether they can keep themselves alive. Dawning Shadow, decent amount of work here getting done as they take down the Cassante. The turret's also dead. The Wallop not going to connect, but BNK, this is the kind of tempo, this is the kind of gusto that we saw in Game 1.
And BNK, this is all very telegraphed. T1 was ready for this. But the play just is, well, I mean, they thought they were. Everyone was there. They
right, yeah.
But it didn't end up working out. And even with Raptor being the one that takes it, I was looking at Duro. I'm like, is Duro gonna, you know, is he gonna be okay when he goes in? Wasn't him. Ended up being a lot of damage attempted. But I want to take another look. So what happens here? So they get the ultimate.
Oh, yeah.
But Duro has cleanse. And it's actually hard for them to move up because Clear does have a pretty substantial Narbar. So Duro and Clear are standing there, so the front line's there. Raptor, even though he gets hit, is too far behind enemy line, so they don't really have an angle. And again, it's also like, how do you actually engage? Like, how does that look with the T1 composition?
They don't really have engage.
No. And they don't also really have poke. And then it beckons the question, if you don't win the early mid-jungle 2v2, and the Senna and Ornn get out of the laning phase relatively unscathed, and Tristana is in the head, how do you win team fights? Well, if BNK don't, and BNK might overchase, you know, walk into a big ultimate, walk into the classic Ivern bait, but I think the sidelines are looking rough, particularly with how big both Clear and Closer are.
Exactly, and I actually felt like maybe side lanes was going to be a way that T1 could tackle this game, right? Like, put Tristana in a side lane, she's going to eat through these turrets. Zeus is pretty safe if he is over there, even if his turret damage isn't necessarily massive. And then you have Ezreal Seraphine sitting in mid, clearing waves there, and you're very, very happy about your situation. As Faker and Clear doing battle once again, the prehistoric version of Tristana. Of course, both of them, you know, get more range as they level up, things like that. So I'm feeling like maybe it's a thing. Is all right, Zeus looking for an angle there, doesn't find the Q3. And Teleport going to be invested. Another one going to be down towards the bottom side as well. So that is double summoner spells here for T1, just desperate to try and get this game moving back in their direction.
And the counter punch.
Oh, wow.
It's not enough, yeah. Like,
Clear has Teleport.
They don't have TPs. Zeus used his flash in that play as well. They used a lot of ultimates. I don't think they have the damage though. Crucially, Closer wasn't there. So it is just Raptor as well as Hannah. Hannah also going for an actual AD build, by the way. Kraken Slayer, not the lethality of weapons, but they're going to keep going.
Yeah, they're
Owner
still on
flash.
it. They're still on it. Let's see whether Owner can actually get in there. He dives into the pit, but it's going to be secured by Raptor. They take down the other tree as well as now you've got Clear diving on top, and BNK, I guess they took a vacation for game number 2 because they are back here and they are ready to play for game 3.
They are refreshed, Atlas. I don't know what beat they went to.
How is it refreshing what happened in game number 2? I don't know, but it obviously was because they're taking an inner turret. They just got a Baron. It's 4-0. What?
It's, you know when a movie gets so bad that you can't help but laugh? That's BNK in the last game, like, who cares? We got stumped. Yeah. It happens. But right now, I don't even think they're the strongest they're going to be. And they just got Nash. They've taken the top side inner. Their side lanes are looking insanely strong. I think that barring a major misplay from the end they've done, this was still a flip.
It was.
I do gotta question this decision at least a little bit because Owner is in fact in the pit.
It was a pretty early smite. Was that Owner's smite and in there?
So it technically isn't a flip because Duro does have smite, but he didn't use it. So with the Untold Spellbook, you can obviously set this up and feel relatively confident. But what a moment there for Raptor, right? I think Owner a little bit early, but again, he's in the pit, so...
And he also really had to try and time it in amongst 2 smites going off, so I think you just kind of have to go.
Yeah, I like Owner not hitting that smite is definitely not not the problem with the whole sequence of events here for T1, but right now, Atlas, I think it's looking amazing here for BNK. And
100%. And it's too early for it to be looking this amazing, right? Like, this is the biggest problem for the T1 composition is that you've also still got Ornn and Senna. Like, where are the ornaments? They don't even have any yet. Duro's only level 12.
And it really does feel like what we said after game number 1 applies here again. It just doesn't feel, unless they get huge leads early, which was thanks to Owner and Carry out the case in game number 2 rather. This doesn't really feel.
Oh, the Stranglethorns is going to connect here as now Faker has to rocket jump out, but wasn't able to buffer that one. Still, he is going to keep himself alive. True Shot Barrage doing a fair bit of work here as Daisy's going to go down. Henna has to flash. In the meantime, Clear is just destroying an inner turret. Duro is there with him as well. Not entirely sure why. He was just wandering around, having a good time. They managed to take the inhibitor turret on the top lane. And 7,000 gold is now the lead for BNK. A 4.6k Rebel Baron power play. This team just feels like a different one.
It really does. It goes both ways. I think BNK, I said it after game 1, and then in game 2 I felt a little bit silly about my statement about them looking better than they have possibly all year. In game 3, I'm back on that train.
Oh yeah, but I also think that like game 2, I mean, you fall ridiculously behind early in some games, right? Like it happens to every team that isn't Gen 2.
It's also, and this is something that I think is the most important to me, it's something that BNK used to be known for, right? Liv Sandbox used to be known, even going back to Sandbox, a team that
these are
they
cool
won
kids
quickly
that never panicked, right?
And they lost quickly, right? They would just opt in to flips, and right now things are looking great for them here. Still no kills found by T1, but yeah, the items are still getting hit, and that's the one thing why, just like in game 1, I think we are still looking at this with a little bit of reserve. There is still a lot of power in T1 comp, specifically I think in the carry-out ultimate. If the wrong people on BNK get hit by that, and Faker and Guma can pump out enough damage, there's an opportunity, but realistically, without BNK even playing, they're playing it slow, so slow and methodical, and I think they know as well that this one is going to be in the bag. Like, as you're saying, first ornament, now starting to come from Duro, still only level 13. He's going to get bigger and bigger from here on out. I don't know how many stacks Hannah's sitting on, but particularly with this Kraken Slayer, his damage is going to be very respectable.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool that he's going for the slightly adjusted build. Used to see a fair bit of Kraken Slayer on the center back a while ago.
Doesn't have a lot of souls. That's 72. So.
Yeah, so not the greatest.
It doesn't matter though. You have a fat Gnar, you have a fat Corki.
Yeah.
Third item now done here for closer.
And if any Krakens show up, he can slay them.
Is Baron Nashor like a... Is that a Kraken derivative?
No. because Baron's from the Void, you know, Krakens are from Bilgewater. You know.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I should have known that lore master Atlas would know.
Well, I just assume they're from the waters of Bilgewater because that's where all the pirates are, and a Kraken is a pirate creature.
It's the natural enemy.
Yeah. You got to be around where the pirates are. I think that's their main.
Maybe it's the other way
source of
around.
food.
Pirates just go out to look for Krakens.
Ah.
It's like how if you're a knight, you need to look for a dragon.
Ah, that's true. That's probably how it works, actually. I assume pirates and knights have a lot in common.
Yeah.
As far as how things are done. As Quasar and Faker meet each other once again, Quasar says, nah, I'm just going to give you a rocket and I'm going to leave. As BNK slowing down a little bit when it comes to the tempo, it feels like it has, oh, never mind, maybe not. As Carrier is going to have a shield broken, never mind. Everything is going to be A-okay.
Do have to highlight that for BNK, without the Nash, this is a pretty short-range composition, especially because Hannah doesn't actually have a lot of souls. So their siege is relatively lackluster. There is a lot of wave clear here between Faker and Guma. Carrier, I have always been a bigger fan of the AP build. Obviously, can't go with the AP build when you're playing support Seraphine, but
yeah,
do think that that is a ton of value that normally you'd get. Not going to be the case here. As they're just gonna start this up again. And T1, look at the lack of vision.
Yeah,
like only Zeus can face check.
They can't get here. They do throw down the scrying orb. Is now BNK backing away. Zeus moving in.
Look at the TP wards. Jonah Strong letting us know.
Yeah, a lot of different angles up and available here for BNK. True Shot Barrage over Duro, but doesn't hit any of the squishies that would have taken very meaningful damage from that.
I wish they'd put Duro in the side lane. Like, make sure you have the TP and just get into level 14. Get an upgrade for either clear or closer.
Well, now the issue is, T1, they're moving over, and maybe it's not as much of an issue because this Baron can be two-manned, I think. As Stranglethorns comes in, there are so many seeds in there. It's going down so fast. The Ram is going to get the knock-up. It might be another 50-50 is clear. The Gnar bar is stacking, but the health bar isn't. Still, he makes it to a brush. The Baron is going to be secured. There is a snare on top of Zeus, but he still manages to make his way out. The Mega Gnar does come in. That's the root caller connecting, and that's going to buy them some space. So all five alive, but the Baron is not. They'll take an outer turret, for their trouble. And I think BNK are okay to go for that trade. There is also a Mountain Drake on the map that BNK could head over to if they would like, and Clear says no, because I don't need to kill a dragon if I kill a Nexus instead. And now everyone's going back. If BNK wanted to, they could head over and take that dragon if they'd like to, and it's a Nexus turret potentially. No, the minion wave is going to stop it, but it's mid lane inhibitor turret as well. This rotation is gorgeous from BNK.
BNK, no, they don't need the dragon. It's not necessary, Atlas. You want to get those base structures. Top lane inhib already down. That's going to make the dragon a formality anyway. I do think BNK, they haven't backchat after getting the Baron, right? So get the backs in, move over to Nash.
Ooh, that.
Yeah, okay, but that doesn't... I know it's technically still there, but is it really?
It is. It is. You know, it exists. It's their moral support turret.
Not the
There you go. That means that they don't get any of the global gold.
Yeah, that's true. They might get the strength as well. So if there is an angle where T1 win, it does come off of them getting Mountain. And
that's going to be bounty gold as well, so that's going to keep things a little bit more even. Mountain Soul point available. The problem is that there is an inhibitor now missing, and there's also an open floodgate in this mid lane. And so yes, they do manage to augment their dragons with the mountain variety, Earth, Wind, and Fire in T1's back pocket. I just don't know how relevant it's going to be as poor Daisy just gets destroyed as soon as she comes up. In a turret here, the last one remaining going to be seen to by Clear. His teleport is up, and I think Zeus may have actually snuck around. True Shot Barrage is going to miss, and can he find the all-out angle? He flashes! He does not find it! The redemption comes in as well. There's the all-out we were talking about, but it's on to Duro. He's so incredibly tanky. Carrier, not so much, and Raptor just blows him up. And the rest of T1 are now split. They fanned out. They're going to give up their inhibitor. An inhibitor turret is already being taken down because Clear set that one up earlier. And that's going to be all of the inhibs down. I think Fearex may have done it.
Atlas, it's happening. BNK are going to get the upset win. We're in game number 3, T1. The loss against Hanwha, that was one thing. But this something else entirely. Duro is TPing in.
This could be it. The resurgence for BNK. Clear smacks them both into their nexus. And now Gumayushi is going to go for it, but he's not going to be able to find the angle. There goes the nexus. Upset complete. BNK Fearex take down T1.
And ever since Duro joined, I think the team started coming together. And the fans, they go insane. Because who could have predicted this? The T1 Hanwha series, that's the one where I think realistically, if Hanwha ended up winning, no surprise. They won the last series. If T1 ended up winning, we know this team can reiterate. We know this team can bounce back. And bounce back, they're going to have to, because BNK, in both games that they won, looked so much stronger. It was really only the flips in the early game in game 2 that ended up completely snowballing out of control. And you know I had to vote.
Oh yeah,
you know I had to vote.
It's the volleyball king. It's the volleyball king. He's gonna have to get it.
If you throw a vote to this man, coming in after Willie,
and also
doing as well as he did,
joining only 2 other players that have won on Zyra so far this season, and doing it twice in a series against a team very far away from you in the standings.
And one of those is Canyon, and we all know Canyon's stats.
Yeah, it's not included.
Don't count.
It's only that one game that I can't even remember who played it, but he did really well.
Might be Cuz.
It might have been Cuz. It might have been no. Pioshik tried and it didn't go so well. But Duro, it was a methodical game. It was a beautiful draft here in game number 3. I think, like, based on the learnings of the first 2 games and with the advantages that you can get on the side of the blue side, I think BNK just played a great series of League of Legends.
I agree. I'm with you. And BNK, the closer, man, him in particular, I don't know if you saw his face cam, but
there's always that closer grin, man,
but
every time.
He was actually genuinely going crazy with the rest of his team. I think Hannah and Duro also having a great game again here today as we take another look. But again, my favorite thing about these BNK wins is that you can go, I think Hannah in this one had a bit more of a muted one being Senna.
Yeah,
but if you end up voting for Closer, right, who again did a great job in the middle, if you end up voting for Raptor, if you end up voting for Duro, I can see the lines. I think this was a team effort well and truly by BNK. And on the flip side, for T1, some serious lessons are going to have to be learned, because I feel like this style, I know how much they stomped in game number 2, but it just doesn't feel like it works for them. If you can have 2 games like this against BNK, I think you got to try and find a different angle.
I would agree. And maybe they're, taking a different leaf out of the book, wanting to focus completely for their Hanwha Life Esports series. Drop the ball here, but they can come back all guns blazing.
The
big one on Saturday.
There, like Raptor, Closer, Hannah, all immediately, because they know if Zeus gets the knock up and Carrier gets the chain, that would be it. But no.
And, I mean, there are a lot of things to say, right? T1, I don't think they drafted super well today outside of in game number 2. Game number 2, it looked beautiful. The Braum really augmenting the core 3 champions that we've seen be very powerful in the Trist, Ezreal, and the Ivern.
Duro's like, I gotta keep this minion alive.
As Gumayushi almost manages to be a hero in some of these moments. As, he's just losing his mind.
And, oh man, for me, seeing clear on Duro, as Duro did 3K damage. Doesn't matter. Hey, you gotta win against T1.
He did almost as much as Ona.
Oh,
wait, actually, he did more than Zeus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was that's not something we're used to seeing.
No, I think Zeus had a great game number 1. Then actually still pretty solid game number 2, and game number 3 was unfortunately a disaster. But it really feels like I don't think anyone on T1 had a good game in game number 3.
No, I don't think so either, nor in game number 1, right? And look, you can talk about side selection, things like that. You saw what T1 were capable of in game number 2. Things can get very, very snowbally. Still not sure how I feel about the whole Ivern situation.
Yeah,
T1.
As I said, I think looking at it objectively, this is what is right in the current meta. But I also think when we get to Saturday, I think T1 are going to swap it up. I just think it doesn't work for them. It doesn't kind of fly with what this team has been the best at And I imagine that they're going to have to try and find a completely different angle to take on Humble Life, because I think Humble Life, if they're playing like this, it's going to be a rough series.
Certainly is. But now we've got some gentlemen standing alongside to break down this series. Take it away, boys.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Steer for the POG interview translation, joined by Closer and Clear on the side of BNK Firax, who just broke their 6th losing streak against T1. Congratulations! Thank you. Closer, since the 2023 season, you were on a 6-match losing streak against T1, and you just broke it today. How do you feel? Honestly, my hands are still shaking. I'm just so happy that we were able to win today and clear. So how does it feel to finish round 1 with a victory? You know, yeah, it was our last match of round 1. Just being able to win against such a strong team. It's just so surreal to me. I feel like I'm just dreaming right now. And Clear, with Firax winning games 1 and 3, you went from blue side for the first time. So you must have done some studying in the blue side a lot. So what was the process like? You know, we've always been thinking that the drafting is more comfortable on blue side for us personally. So I think it was that we didn't really... We weren't too concerned about our losing streak or not being able to win against T1. I think we just did what we were always doing. And so, Closer, in all 3 games today, you took, or T1 took Ivern and Ezreal Tristana as a 280 carry comp, which was a great late game which has great late game value. So on paper, with T1's comp looking so great, how did BNK Firax feel about that? So against Ivern, we had a really good Corki, Zyra picks as like a counter. So I think something that we had prepared for, it really worked really well for us. I believe that we had pretty much really a lot of confidence just to counter that. So was there a hidden strategy that you left all these core picks open? I think our strategy was confidence. And Clear, in games 1 and 2, you played Aatrox against Zeus. And Aatrox looks so tanky and useful. So what are your thoughts on Aatrox lately? Currently, after the rework, you've been seeing a lot of Aatrox on stage, and I believe that internally we've been rating him pretty highly, and I think today I felt pretty good with him. Closer, in game 1, your Corki's boom boom damage really gave your team the decisive edge, and so let's take a look at this next replay. Can you walk us through what happened here? So we started Baron here, and we wanted to open up a team fight, and it was actually more of a bait in the end, but I think we were able to sort of suck them in. And the team fight was actually really, it went really well because of Clear. So I think I called for the Tristana play or picking the Tristana off, and I think we just had a really good team fight overall. So Clear, in game 3, you didn't ban Gnar, but instead decided to play him. So what are your thoughts on Gnar? I think this despite being able to blind pick him or counter pick with Gnar is always a really well-rounded champion. So I think even in game 3, I was able to comfortably pick him. So in game 3, we had a moment where BNK Firax had a bold decision. The Baron call could have been pretty risky here, so was it that the team believed in Raptor? So with our Ornn having Smite, I think we were just really trying to go for the 2 Smite comp and then try to secure the Baron, but I noticed that our Ornn didn't actually Smite. And Closer, what were your thoughts? You know, I think it was just a really necessary Baron call and team fight to open up because we really didn't want the game to go any longer, and we just really decided to commit as a team, and it worked out. So BNK was so speedy, and what an incredible confidence. So how are you able to pull off such a macro play? Yeah, we've been able to sort of research and study a lot of the other teams' VODs to study their macro play. And I think that actually paid off really well. And Clear, in the center of this macro was you shaking things up in the side lane. So how satisfied are you with your performance today? For game 1, my laning phase didn't go really well, but you know, in the end, we won, so I'm pretty satisfied. So with your victory in the last match of round 1, you finished with 3 wins and 6 losses. So what are some takeaways from round 1? Yeah, we had a lot of roster changes. And in the summer, I felt like there were a lot of missteps. We weren't really on the same page. And I believe that now that we were able to finish strong, I want to make sure that we are in the mindset that we will win all our matches in round 2. And any resolution going into KT? KT is a really strong team, and I want to make sure that we have the right mindset to get our revenge against KT. And Closer. And Clear. Since we were able to defeat such a strong team, I believe that we were capable of getting our revenge against KT. And that's the end of the interview from Closer and Clear, and back to the space. Thank you.